What's up guys, Omar here, broker and CEO of Alden Mortgage and Omay Realty. So this is going to be your mortgage rate update. Also on the mortgage rate update, we're going to talk a little bit, is the apartment life just switching over to short-term rentals? Is the apartment long-term rentals completely dead? Well, there's a source on Airbnb that goes ahead and states one, but let's go ahead and get on with the mortgage market rate update. Now, the 5 products that we're going to go ahead and price out, this is going to be a 30-year fixed, a 15-year fixed, a 30-year FHA, a 30-year jumbo, and a 5/1 adjustable rate mortgage. And if you don't know what a 5/1 adjustable rate mortgage is by now, it is fixed interest only for 5 years. Then it gets adjusted every year after that according to the cap on your product and the market rate. So 30-year fixed as of today is actually a little bit better. It's sitting at 5.44%. That is 0.01% better pricing than yesterday, 0.03% increase in pricing from 1 week ago, 0.19% increase from pricing on 1 month ago, and 2.29% increase pricing from 1 year ago. 15-year fix will be sitting at 4.85%. That is 0.01% increase from 1 day ago, 0.07% increase from 1 week ago, 0.31% increase from 1 month ago, and 2.27% increase from 1 year ago. 30-year FHA will be sitting at 5.12%. That is 0.07% increase from just 1 day ago, no change from 1 week ago, 0.33% increase from 1 month ago, and 2.44% increase from 1 year ago. 30-year jumbo will be sitting at 4.78%. That is 0.02% better pricing than yesterday, 0.18% increase in pricing from 1 week ago, 0.38% increase from 1 month ago, and 1.65% increase from 1 year ago. 5/1 adjustable rate mortgage will be sitting at 4.65%. That is 0.05% increase from 1 day ago, 0.08% increase from 1 week ago, 0.62% increase from 1 month ago, and 2.39% increase from 1 year ago. Now, as everybody knows, that the rental market has taken a really big jump. Now, another big jump that's been taking place is that majority of investors, including myself, that short-term rentals are more lucrative than long-term. So like, you go to your apartment complex or any standard apartment complex, you go and you try to rent an apartment and they go ahead and lock you down at a 1-year lease, and then you go from there. Well, this whole pandemic and this whole eviction moratorium has kind of put a hindering on that, and not only that, Airbnb went from not doing that great, and now people are actually seeing the upside in Airbnbs, and it's like all of your short-term rentals. Airbnb is just the biggest name, that's why I'm giving an example, but short-term rentals are a really big thing. Now, there is one city that has more rental apartments on Airbnb than apartments being sold as long-term rentals. Now, New York has more Airbnb listings than apartment rents as of current. The fever isn't breaking. There are now bidding wars for 1 in every 5 Manhattan rental apartments. Now, as you know, that rental apartments in Manhattan they went down, and a lot of the big metropolitan areas like San Francisco and New York and Miami, the rental business went really it just went down on the luxury side of it. But what is lucrative now is short-term rentals, because majority of people that are going into these places are short-term rentals, and they're going for business or whatever they're going for. But a report from Douglas Elliman says that inventory in all Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Northwest Queens has been hovering well below 10,000 units. As of April, the number was just 7,669 total units, which is several thousands less than the number of entire apartments and entire home Airbnb rentals available in New York City as of right now. 10,572 according to the AirDNA, and a third-party site that tracks short-term rentals inside Airbnb. Another site that scrapes Airbnb for listing data puts a number at 20,397. Now, these numbers are all over the place, as you see. They're always all over the place because it's very difficult to track short-term rentals, off-market rentals, depending on, are they selling it? Are they going on Airbnb when you're listed? And once it goes into a contract, then they go ahead and take it off Airbnb, or if they don't. So it's a little bit difficult to track, but as far as our numbers go, we're relatively speaking that it's around 10,000 total apartments, and then majority of those apartments, especially in those areas in Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Northwest Queens, is actually mostly an Airbnb. Now, which are the metro areas that took the biggest spike as far as long-term rentals go? Now, according to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development and the Census Bureau data, determined which areas have the sharpest rent price increases. Now, sitting at number 1 is going to be at Sacramento, Roseville, Folsom, which is in California. Rent jumped 25.3%, up $369 from the median rent price of $1,461 in 2019 to $1,830 for 2022. Las Vegas, Henderson Paradise, Nevada, rent jumped 24.8%. That's $295 from the median rent price of $1,190 in 2019 to $1,485 in 2022. Salt Lake City jumped 24.6%, up $291 from the median price of $1,184 in 2019 to $1,475. Phoenix and Mesa, Chandler, Arizona, rent jumped 22.3%, $283 from the median rent price of $1,270 in 2019 to $1,553 in 2022. Jackson, Florida has rent jumped 22%, up $255 from the median rent price of $1,159 in 2019 to $1,414 in 2022. Riverside, San Bernardino, Ontario, California, rent jumped 21.6%, up $327 from median rent price of $1,515 in 2019 to the $1,842 in 2022. Orlando, Kazima, Stanford, Florida, rent jumped 20.3%, $281 from $1,382 in 2019 to $1,663 in 2022. Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, Florida, jumped 20%. That's $252 from the median rent price of $1,259 in 2019 to $1,511 in 2022. And then Portland, Vancouver, Hillsborough, Oregon, Washington, rent jumped 19.4%, up $314 from $1,618 in 2019 to $1,932 in 2022. Now, the reason why most of these have gone up is because the majority of purchasing power, the rent, home price increases, everything is taken into a factor, because this is actually going to be your total cap rate. Now, as far as a cap rate, what is a cap rate? A cap rate is just the total rate that is going to be associated from your market rate to your return on your investment, to go ahead and let you know what your capitalization rate is. And the capitalization rate is going to allow you to go ahead and make a savvy business decision on how much your market rate needs to be, so you get that return on investment, which is your ROI. Now, while rents are indeed up, going from the Beehive State, they haven't gone as much home prices over the past 2 years, notes Paul Smith, Executive Director of the Utah Apartment Association. Now, apartment associations, it's not going to be an exact number, but the one thing that we all could agree on is that rental prices have increased all over the board. And as if you notice in the numbers that I provided earlier, majority of them are like in Florida, or it's going to be in California. Those two states have taken the biggest increase, only because home prices here have increased so much. Now, for instance, like if you live in Los Angeles, right? If you live in Los Angeles, you are going to, if you get priced out of Los Angeles, you'll either have to go a little bit north to the Santa Clarita area, or you're going to have to go a little bit more east into the San Bernardino County. Same as far as San Francisco, Bay Area, Tri-Cities, Silicon Valley. If you get priced out of there because you still want to go ahead and obtain some sort of affordability when it comes to house, you would have to go ahead and segue over to a little bit more south into the Tracy Mountain House, I think it's called Mountain House, or you would go totally east into the Sacramento Roseville area. It just is what it is, and especially since remote working has become such a big thing, especially here in California, it's just what you got to do, and that's just what people are going. Home prices have gone up as high as 50% in the last 2 years, which is a lot. Our reports actually suggest that it's about 70%. Smith said, while rentals have only increased half that, about 12 to 15%. So does this mean that, are we going to project it to see more increases? Well, if there's nothing going to be happening as far as rental prices and home prices to go ahead and coincide with one another, if home prices still remain increasing as they are, of course it has slowed down, but even if we go back to the normal 6 to 10%, it's going to be such a drastic hit on the rental market, because it's just the nature of the game. When people are purchasing homes to go ahead and do them as rentals, or they're doing, fourplexes, or they're doing apartment communities, all these prices have increased. So that has to get associated and allocated to exactly where you're going to be on your rental price. So it's a crappy situation to be in, but is there, now this begs the question, are we in a little bit of a housing bubble? Now, so to kind of compare and contrast, in 2008, right? In 2008, when the whole housing bubble happened and everything went to complete crap, there was a massive amount of delinquencies, and then there was a lot of adjustable rate mortgages that were they were getting sold. And those adjustable rate mortgages got sold in a lower rate, and when they got at a lower rate, the principal and interest payment was a lot lower, or it was interest only. But then when their principal and interest kicked into the current market rate where the interest rates did increase, it kind of made everybody in a very uncomfortable financial situation. It was like, you know what, I can't afford this anymore, so what am I going to do? So then it went to the 30-day, 60-day, 90-day, and then it went to the foreclosure, and the 30, 60, 90 is, the steps as far as, late payments and going into foreclosure. So as far as your market rate, and is this going to be one of those things to where we're going to go, this is a frustrating thing, right? It's a super incredibly frustrating thing, especially when whenever you're like myself, I'm a mortgage broker, I am a real estate broker, and as far as renters are concerned, renters always come over and ask, hey, how do I get into this house? How do I do this? How do I do that? And then you kind of, give them the reality and the scope of everything of what we are actually able to afford. Now, whenever you go into the rental side of things, they usually expect you to have 2.7 times the rental amount, which is a lot less on the purchase side, but that increases your total liabilities whenever you're going into your finances, right? As far as how much money is going to be going out versus how much is going to be going in. So as far as all that is concerned, we're gonna be kind of wait and see exactly what's going to happen. Is Airbnb actually going to take over the whole entire rental business? Could this possibly be a transition to everything being in the short-term rental versus the long-term rental, only because people are so timid as far as management companies, individual renters like myself, where we're just small private landlords. Yeah, it's just, to give you an idea, I could make, on a hypothetical, if I rented an apartment, one of my townhomes, I have a townhome, I could rent it for, let's say, $2,500 a month, right? It's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom townhome. I could rent it for $2,500. It's in Corona. I could probably rent it for way more, but let's just say, for the sake of argument, it's $2,500. On an Airbnb, I could make $4,000 on it. So it's like, where do you go as far as switching from one to another? And then I don't have to worry about really evictions as long as you don't go over that 30-day period. So that's going to be your market rate update. That's going to be exactly what's going on in the world of real estate. If you like the content, like, subscribe, comment for up to 50% commission rebate on your next home purchase, 0% listing fee on selling your current home, or any mortgage assistance. Link in the description below. I really appreciate you watching. Until next video, guys. Peace.